Hello, promoters. Welcome to a video that was sort of requested. A couple different people had requested this video, and I thought I would put it together. People have been asking like what sort of my idea on booking is, and I will say from the outset that I don't give it a ton of thought, and I think people maybe think I put more thought into it than I do, and I don't. I actually think that for this game, you just do what you want to do. It's a game, and you do what is interesting to you. But I thought that since a couple people have asked me about my booking ideas, I would kind of show you how I put a card together. And I will start by saying that the basis of my Champions of the Galaxy Fed is sort of rankings based. So somebody's not going to get a title shot unless they're ranked pretty high. And I've done a video about creating a ranking spreadsheet, and that's sort of how I still do it. I've moved to an app called Obsidian, which I probably have to do a video on as well. But it's still sort of ranking based. And I say that, but, like I always say, like when we get a new edition of cards, a new set of cards, whoever the heavy hitter is, he's not going to get a title shot right away. Except in 2138, Mr. Everything, who I guess arguably would be a heavy hitter, but he's a heavy hitter in the new vibe. He got a title shot right away because he got put in Diva Spotlight, and normally I would not have given him a title shot, but I did. And he won. He beat Grandmaster, and then promptly lost to Monolith. And so anyway, I say I'm rankings based, but again, it just goes to what is interesting at the time. And to me, in that moment, Mr. Everything getting a title shot, because I was actually surprised he won. And he actually beat Grandmaster so soundly. So, but that's part of the fun of this game is booking. But I will just start by saying there are no hard or fast rules here. I just kind of go with what I'm feeling at the moment. And what I do is I keep this little book. This is something new. I think I talked about it in one of my other videos. But I just kind of keep my booking ideas in here. And I have a page for the GWF. And so my current kind of booking ideas is Tempest versus the Conquerors. Tempest has exiled Tharkus and Epoch in matches. And I kind of like this idea of Tempest is just going to get rid of all the Conquerors. But what's happened recently is that Murtak has gotten mad at Tempest because Tempest has gotten rid of all his friends. So Murtak is sort of taking this challenge to Tempest. And I'll get back to that in a second. Blood and Fire versus FDF Tradition has been just a crazy feud in my Fed, but I think I'm almost to the point where we've got to end it. They can end this segment of it at least, because I've kind of done all the matches I can done between these two. Another big news story here is that the Gladiators suffered a huge defeat on Aethra, and they have sort of disappeared. They are not around, and Dark Menace has come out publicly and said, I don't want anything to do with the Gladiators. I was wrong to get behind them. Not asking for forgiveness, but just the Gladiators aren't going to help me accomplish my goals. So I've been scouring the galaxy for a new team, and I'll get back to that in a second. And then for these other two here, Monolith and Mr. Everything over the Galaxian title, I kind of talked about that. And Havoc versus Shane over the IP title. That came, sorry, I just bumped the camera there. That came from the last card I had, which was 2138.475. And the way I kind of do things is, at least in 2138, I have been dating my cards. So this kind of big super card where all the titles were defended was on April 12th. So my next card will be April 19th, 2138, and then so on. And the way I've been doing this is every 5 cards, I just make sure that within every 5 cards, the titles are at least defended. Each title is at least defended, usually in a big super card where all the titles are on the line at once. So the next one will be 2138.480. And what this 475, I think I've talked about this on other videos too, but is just the number of cards I've played since 2119, because that was sort of the reset point. So I'm almost coming up on 500 cards from 2119, which will be fun. Of course, I've played way more than, because I played all the cards back 2074 and so on. So and eventually those, I just didn't merge those results yet. So right now, I just thought it'd be better to start over here and it'll be easier to count. So anyway, the last event I did, Murtak and Tempest battled to a double DQ. So they, when they have a DQ, they definitely need to do another rematch, especially if it's double DQ. So what I've decided is on the next card, which is 476, is that Tempest and Murtak will face each other, and it'll be a 2 out of 3 falls Titan death match. And the stipulation is that if Tempest wins, Murtak is exiled for the length of time that's remaining on Tharkus's and Epoch's exile, which, if I can look up here really quick, because I have it in Obsidian, they're not coming back till card 480. So he would be exiled basically for 4 cards. So that is like sort of the main, it's not the main event, because really they're not, I guess it actually would be the main event for card number 476. And then another grudge match, and this is just going off the grudges in the handbook, is Titan Power versus Perfect Specimen. Sometimes if I can't think of matches, I'll revert back to the handbook and be like, oh yeah, Titan Power has this kind of grudge against the Titans, and Titan Power has actually beaten a lot of the other Titans, and so he's going to go after Perfect Specimen. That might even be the main event match. I love I-Star. I-Star is my favorite character from 2138, and I love just putting him against everybody. Just he's sort of this guy like, yeah, I'll fight you because I want to prove to myself and to the crowd here that I'm going to be something to to keep an eye on, a wrestler to keep an eye on. And so looking forward, hopefully Tom has it in his mind to advance him, and we'll see better cards for him over the years, because he's just one of my favorite characters. So it'll be fun kind of putting him in against Tarval, as having these two kind of battle. Tarval has had some big matches in the past. Right now he's kind of just floundering in the mid card, so he would like to get a win there. And then I love Horus, so I put Horus against Helson. Helson, both of these wrestlers, like a nice win by either of these guys would kind of propel them into getting a title shot, maybe an IP title shot against Shane. But definitely those two there. And then Dark Menace. Dark Menace has said that he's scouring the galaxy, and he is looking for new wrestlers to take over and to create his plans. And he supposedly has found some wrestlers. Now, I am not going to show you these cards because I want to kind of keep them a secret, and if it'll be a bit of a spoiler if you saw them, it would be a spoiler. So, Dark Menace has a singles and a tag team that will be wrestling on the next card. And all we know is their names. And the first one is Plugger, Plugger, with a Dark Menace managing. Will be taking on Faller. And then there will be a tag team known as the Butchers, who will be taking on the natives of Castellax. So that is one full card. This is another thing, too, is I usually just keep it to 6 matches, unless there is a reason to do more. In Champions of the Galaxy, I just find that 6 matches is fun to sit down and play. It advances storylines. There's definitely going to be cards where I'll play more. We're getting into the time of the year where I do the Reckoning, and a lot of those cards have more than 6 matches, and that's fine. So anyway, so that is the next card. That is card 476. So that card is all booked, ready to go. Now, the next card, see, what I like to do is I also like to book several cards in advance, because with only doing 6 matches on each card, it's definitely easier to book several in advance. And I am thinking that the main event in the next card, which is 477, has got to be just the final match between these 2 teams. Now, what kind of match will it be? We just had on this card, Burning Man defeated Tank in a coffin match. So what kind of match? This may be really boring to kind of try and figure out here, but what kind of match should they have? These 2 teams as just the final match. Another thing I've been getting into too is not just having a ton of special matches. So even if a match ends in DQ, I will just book them against each other again to see if somebody gets a win. If it's another DQ, then I may bring in may bring in another match, a special match or something like that. But I just sometimes just having every match on a card be a special match, it's really not my kind of thing. I am not 100% sure what this match would be. And I don't think I want to waste your time watching this video as I try and decide what this match is going to be. I think maybe a hardcore Titan death match would be good. I kind of think since Burning Man won the last encounter against Tank, putting him in the coffin for the Central Coffin match, that maybe it should be, maybe it should be a match that like he would decide. So I really got to look through here and see which of these special matches are good for tag teams, and then which ones would be really good for them. So I'm already thinking like, oh, maybe it's a Aetherine Ultimate Escape match, or maybe it's a Hardcore Titan Death match. I don't know. See, like Sam's Brawl match would be interesting. If Tank had won, but Tank hasn't won. So I'm not going to go that. I do know that this is going to be the main event of the next card. Okay, now what I do know is that on card 476, I didn't have any women wrestle. And so I definitely want to have some women wrestle. And you can see that the gladiators are gone here. Let's see. Let me look at my rankings and see who is... how the women are ranked here. I can show you this. If you excuse my... Oops. I went back a card here. If you excuse my dirty iPad screen. But like here are my rankings. And this is Obsidian. This is the program Obsidian that I was telling you about. So anyway, here are my women's rankings. Killer Queen is the current champion. Way down at the bottom, we have Hyla, Sinful. Those 2 have fought so many times. Storm is gone because the gladiators are gone. Krala. See, that's the thing about the women's ranks are a lot of times it's the same matches over and over and over again. Let's put Hyla versus Lady Grandmaster. That seems like an interesting match. And then I want to come up with one other women's match here on the card. Let's have... You know what, though? I think I'm going to put Hyla against Krala. I think they have met before, but this kind of helps with the Tempest Conquerors feud. And then Lady Grandmaster... I think against Scorn. Scorn just lost a bid to win the women's championship, so that might be a good match. Although, I may hold off on that match. I may. Bloody Mary versus Tai Chi. I think that sounds a little bit more interesting to me. So you see that? Just thinking like, hey, which things sound interesting? All right, so we've got 3 matches there. Definitely want to put a tag match on there, but the tag rankings are just sort of depleted. And, well, I guess Castellix just fought Sovereign, which is Grandmaster and Exo King, and they won. So, okay, that's a good... I mean, these 2 teams have fought before, but that'll be a good match for here. So that's 4. And now let's see who we've got over here on the men's singles thing. Havoc, I'm going to hold off because he is still dealing with Shane. Let's see, Zulfikar. Has he fought Demon Godsend? That'll be fun. And then Basilisk versus the Grandmaster. So that is my next card. And then the way I kind of book the card is usually I'll have a women's match open, and it'll be the lower ranked women. So that'll be Hyla and Krala will be the first match. And then we already know that FDF Tradition versus Blood and Fire are the main event. And then who out of here are sort of the lower ranked guys? Then I'll put the tag team match right in the middle. And then Basilisk versus Grandmaster. Oh, actually, I will put Bloody Mary versus Tai Chi, Grandmaster versus Basilisk, and then FDF Tradition versus Blood and Fire in their big special match that I'll have to think of what that special match is going to be. And then, so we've got a few cards left here. So, my next card is 478. And we can say, let's do Havoc versus Shane, because Shane does not shy away from putting the title on the line. Shane versus Havoc in an Earth Bullwhip match, because that's Shane's like, you want a rematch, you have to do that. And the thing is, Havoc did defeat Shane due to DQ, so Havoc should get a rematch there on that. And then I think there's going to have to be on that card, not a title match, but a decision by Diva about what's going to happen, because Mr. Everything deserves a rematch. Because what happened was Mr. Everything beat Monolith via DQ when Monolith gave him the catastrophe on the arena floor. And I had kind of written that Diva has said that this war of Castellix has sort of poisoned the wrestlers who are involved, and they're just really getting violent. So she is blaming the war on Castellix and sort of the Vizier's influence on Monolith as why Monolith would do such a thing and to try and cripple Mr. Everything. And so she's actually considering that anybody involved in the war on Castellix cannot go for the titles. So Monolith's already the champion. The Gladiators are the Galaxian Tag Champions. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to them if that ruling does come down. But I think she's going to make her decision on what that's going to be for card 480, what the rematch is going to be like. Right now, I'm leaning towards Vizier will not be allowed at ringside, so it will just be a standard match. It's just that Vizier will not be allowed at ringside, but Diva will be allowed at ringside, so that might tip things in her favor. Exo King versus Death Knight. That's a good match that fits along with their feud. And Saber, I think I'm going to hold off. Let's see what the women's ranks are over here. So there we go. We can do that match. The Lady Godsend versus Scorn. Yeah, boy, you could go with the classic feud there. You know what? Let's go with actually two sort of hero. They are on the same team, though, so they wouldn't necessarily fight. Let's go with Sinful and Catfight. Now, what I would do is, depending on the results of the Tempest And yeah, Aethern Soldier's not here because the gladiators are gone. What would happen with Tempest and Murtak? If Murtak gets banned, then Tempest would go after Saber to try and get him exiled as well, so he could wipe out the whole team. But so this card, you see like 2 cards out. I'm a little fuzzy on that card. It will probably be some combination of these. But there you go. And if while I'm playing any new kind of feuds or whatever come up, I will definitely write them in my book here. And that's it. I don't know if that's interesting at all. I don't know if that helps anybody at all. I hope it does. But that is it, just sort of like how I do my booking. Legends, I book pretty similarly, but a little bit more rankings based. So that is just a little bit more rankings based. I do have these. I've actually, because I've started using Obsidian, I don't really use my booking sheets anymore, just to sort of save paper and stuff. So I will type out my cards in Obsidian, and then I have my iPad right over here, as you saw earlier. But there you go. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you have any other video ideas, let me know. I would love to answer your questions if you have them. And now I'm gonna play out a few cards. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Stay tuned, and I will talk to you soon.